So I saw this article about Lovable hitting $200 million in annual recurring revenue. And that gave me the idea to try and make a copy of Lovable using Lovable. And I'll show you how far I got. So basically I just gave it the prompt to build an AI app builder like Lovable, and if we just take a look right here, we can see what it came back with. So this is what it looks like. It says build apps with just words, which is basically what Lovable is. Now then you can click start building, then it signs me in automatically, and I just started by giving it a simple prompt. So build a landing page for a SaaS startup. So here in the left menu we have the different projects I created, but if I just go to preview this right here, it actually opens it up and you can see this looks pretty good. It looks like an actual landing page or website that a SaaS startup would use. So we have our monthly and yearly billing, we can do the estimated monthly cost, and you can click start free trial, you can click view pricing, and overall it's just a pretty good looking landing page. But then to compare to Lovable, I gave Lovable the same prompt, so just build a landing page for a SaaS startup, and it created this landing page right here, which also looks good. They are quite different in style, but both of them are working and good. So if you just scroll through them, this is the Lovable one. So it looks pretty good, has some nice animations. I did request those later. Then this one right here doesn't yet have animations, but the rest of it does look good. Now if I go back in here and I go to build and I ask it to add animations, let's see if it can actually do this. Now I'm also going to be giving it a more difficult prompt, so for example actually building a tool like Asana where you need to have more features instead of just a good looking page. But in terms of database and backend and integrations, this obviously is not going to work like Lovable. But for the front end I am pretty impressed with how well this already works, and I just gave it a few simple prompts. So at the beginning it created pretty ugly websites. You can see right here this was a to-do list I requested and I asked it to make it more like this one. So I said this is what it built now, looks bad, make the results look very professional, more like the second website. So then basically it started giving better prompts to the AI and it used ChatGPT 5 for the actual AI model, and then it started actually creating good looking websites. But right here I just requested to add the animations, so you can see all of this coding going on, meaning it's now actually building it. So it has now built it, but there is a pretty big difference. If we take a look at these landing pages, they are pretty much not the same landing page. So what I would want is for it to keep building upon the previous code. So I'll ask it to do that, but for now first the animations. If we scroll down, we can see there are actually animations. At the top you can see how far along the page you already are, and it did build what I asked. But now if I go to Lovable, I'll ask it to keep building on the same code and not to completely regenerate it. So it should now have built this out. It says done. Now when you have existing code and ask for a small change in build mode, the AI will receive your existing code and only modify the specific parts you request instead of regenerating everything. So let's give this a shot, and I'll just ask for a small change, such as adding a gradient to the main head title. So now let's see if it only updates what I asked or if it completely regenerates everything. So right here it's now done. So if I just open this up in a new tab and compare it to the other one, we can see it did only add a gradient, which is exactly what I wanted. Besides that, everything looks exactly the same. So it did that now very well, and it's pretty easy to build out extra features and to actually have it work. But what's the nicest thing about this, if you just go to code right here, we have all of the code that it has generated. So what we can do now is just take all of this code and keep building on it wherever we need it. So that's better than with Lovable, because here you need to pay to get the code. But if you use your own build Lovable, you can just get the code right here for free, and it basically just builds the same front end that Lovable would build. But now I'll give it a bit more of a challenging build. So I'll say build a project management tool like Asana and click send. So it has just built the project management tool I asked for. Now if we take a look right here, I'll just open it up in a new tab. It looks pretty good. We have some different sections here and we are in a project. We also have different views such as the board, list, timeline and calendar. These two don't seem to work yet. But if I click on a task, it does actually open it up and I can add a description, subtasks, I can add tags. Now let's see if I can create a new task. So I actually can, so let's just add a description and we can set a priority and a due date. So for example, 10th of December, and it does show up right here. Then besides that, in the left menu, these ones don't work yet right here. So if I would ask Lovable to build something like this, it probably would do a better job in creating more functional buttons. Now, often these AI tools can be pretty lazy, where they only build out certain features and just things that you will not use that often. They don't build out unless you specifically ask for it, but right here it basically didn't build out anything except for the main board right here. Now I can drag over cards, which is pretty cool, but beside that it didn't build up much. Again, it does look pretty good, which is also nice, but overall you cannot really build something like Lovable completely inside of Lovable. You're going to need an actual team of developers, which Lovable obviously does have, but in terms of just creating simple landing pages, that it does do very well, and you can just get the code right here and import it into wherever you need it. So overall, I would say it is pretty cool what it has built, but of course it's not as good as Lovable itself. Now I could keep building, and I think you could get pretty far just building Lovable using Lovable, because whenever you ask for a feature, it does keep adding it. So right here, for example, it didn't build out most features. I could tell Lovable to tell the AI to build out everything, and then it would probably do that. So you can definitely keep improving and get pretty close to Lovable. So overall, I think the money savings of using this build AI tool over Lovable isn't worth it, and I could also just use the code that I get from ChatGPT itself instead of Lovable, because I don't have built-in deployment, I don't have hosting. Now again, I think you could probably build that in. It does have a deploy button here, but that doesn't work. So Lovable is not yet powerful enough to really replicate itself, which is probably good for the Lovable team, because otherwise everyone could just build another Lovable. But still, again, it did do a pretty good job. So that concludes this video. So don't forget leaving a like on this video and subscribing to my channel. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.